All right. Good after evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another game of the Outrider Cup. ChrisKelly, Emil Wallen. Chris is going to be playing Court. Emil's going to be playing Old Allies. And their game is up, so let's get this started. Team USA is up 6-4 in the overall standings with Mishki's wins earlier today. So if Team USA wins either of the two remaining matches, they will win the cup. Otherwise, if they both lose, then Team Europe will tie, and then it will come down to the captains playing again. Court, Old Allies. People say on paper that this matchup favors Court. Well, I'm not convinced. I think Court certainly has a good chance against this, a much better chance than it does against something like, Throne Room or whatnot. But, I think this is maybe like a 55-45 kind of game. At best, it's 60-40. Um, if Old Allies can, do its thing and hold space, I think that they can set up pretty safely on the ground. They can do some destiny manipulation, all that wonderful stuff that we're known to seeing them do. But yeah, in my experience, this game is closer than people tell you all the time. Oh, Court beats Old Allies. Court beats Old Allies. I think at best it's 60-40, but we'll let. What do you guys think in chat? What do you think? Who's favored this matchup? Slight favorite to the Court deck, but then again, you also can't count out the possible differential in play skill. Chris is an NPC champion. Emil's a two-time world champion. So, how do you bet against that? It's pretty standard stuff for them. Starting off, Chris went with Jabba's Haven, Battle Order First Strike, and Wipe them out. Emil went with Wackling, Brave Resistance, and Strike Planning. Double world champion. Let's forget about the players for a second. In a static environment, Court, Old Allies, which deck is favored against the other one? All right. Emil plays a leadership and gets Radis. Chris is looking with his objective. Looking for the docking bay. He's got a Coruscant. He's got a foil Coruscant docking bay. All of Chris's starting locations here are foiled, as well as the docking bay, the objective, and a couple of the all the starting effects here. Chris is known for enjoying the foil cards, and his jump collection agrees with that. Even his starting interrupt was foiled. Not liking what's in his reserve deck, so I'm guessing he's missing some key components there, whether it's Jabba and Scum or some other type of ship. He's talking about he's not a fan of what's in his reserve deck. He would take Emil playing Old Allies over anyone playing anything else. I think it's dependent on how strong court space is. I think that's what it usually does come down to as well. Like I said, if Old Allies can hold their system for a while against whatever court space package is, um, then they're definitely a lot stronger in the game and possibly favored. If they lose space, if the Falcon gets blown out and they lose maybe another ship or two to force drains or something. Um, I think that's very hard for them to get back in. Um, some people will say, the key to this matchup is not pulling Nalhutta, kind of forcing the light side player to only be able to go to Jakku, but that's going to limit some force activation for Chris, and who knows where things will go from there. He is going to put down Jabba Space Cruiser. That comes from hand. Cost him 4. He's going to get Lady Proxima for free from reserve deck. She's got to do with 2 aliens, and then she adds a Destiny. But during control phase, she can, peek at 3 aliens here and go dig out one of them. She peeks at the top 3 cards. She's basically a rescue in the clouds. Look at the top 3 cards, but you only get to take an alien into hand. And then Zam's going to come down as the pilot. A lot of times we'll see if they're going to go first turn, they tend to use Ellis and Hinthra, so they get the extra icon on the force, extra force drain damage. But the Space Cruiser with the alien, certainly a viable option as well. It's immune to less than 5, which is good. And Chris has to lose a force to his own objective because he doesn't have anybody on Tatooine. And he top decks Jasper. And more of the witty banter between the players. I mentioned earlier, Chris was talking about not enjoying the cards in his deck. Emil was telling him that was his own fault because he's the one who built the deck. He should have played good cards. Now Chris is like, well, I could have gone either way, but ultimately I decided against using good cards. This is a lot of the banter you got from these players in the last game as well. Then unfortunately we missed having to watch a replay link version. But all right, so now Emil's going to go. He takes General Leia. So now he's going to go look for a Jakku location. He's going to look for Rey's encampment. Typically, first turn, what Old Allies does is you get General Calrissian, you get Rey, you set up the Falcon. But taking off in this instance is not going to be a good thing for them. He may have to stay on the ground a turn. He may go with a different strategy, depending on what he sees in there, if he wants to cycle Leia back with a Brave Resistance. How much did Emil win game 1 by? It's in the friggin' title heading. Yes, it was 12. Thank you, Shaw, for renewing your subscription for month number 7. And we had a new follower just a few minutes ago as well. Thank you for that as well. Okay, he does get Rey's encampment. He does get the General Calrissian. And he is going to pull the Rey. So he's going to go with the traditional start. Probably just won't see the Falcon take off. The other thing, too, is that Chris can't activate with Wipe because he has to occupy a battleground site. So even if he wanted to, like, barrier Rey or something like that, if he had that available to him, he doesn't have the extra force activation to do that. And Emil's going to get a card from used, and we'll see if he draws with Rey as well. He's going to put Radis aboard the Falcon as a passenger. And he's going to draw a card with Rey. All right, so Rey and Calrissian are 7 abilities, so they don't have to worry about Zuckuss. And if he's got Radis there and 10 cards in hand, there's a reasonably strong chance that he has a Rebel leadership to go with that. He will have to lose a force. He pitches an Antilles maneuver from hand. So if he's got the leadership to protect against extra battle destiny, then certainly taking off with the Falcon may not be all that bad. He did not cycle somebody back with a Brave Resistance to get Finn, which is also usually something that we see. He took Leia, but he did not use a Brave Resistance. So it's possible Finn was in this pile of cards that was used and may have been his used pile pull. He flips the Falcon to vehicle mode, and he is going to stay on the ground. So he will concede that drain of 2 in space to Chris if he wants to pay for it. But again, that's certainly going to limit Chris's options for what he can do for the rest of his turn. Emil's going to use Rad as his text and get the Corvette. That'll give him both extra power and forfeit for when the Falcon does finally take off. It'll also let him flip easier, because now he just needs to get the site with an extra guy, deploy the Corvette, flip, and then the Falcon can take off. All right. So Chris uses Lady Proxima, reveals 3 cards, and opts to take Velkin Tazeri, who is a smuggler that can be pulled with Ellis and Hinthra. Adds 1 to 4 strains at a pit. Basically keeps people from being targeted by lightsabers. Alright, so we're going to get a Jabba to the audience chamber. And the Press of Enforcement, just in case there's an Alter V before he pulls his scum. And there is the scum. And an Effantmon. More of a natural counter to No Idea, but certainly a strong presence with Jabba. Besides the fact that he forfeits and covers all battle damage and attrition, he's also a leader. So he stops Jabba from being targeted by weapons, makes Jabba completely immune to attrition, and when in battle gets this nice little power +2 bonus, making him power 4, which Jabba can then double to 8. So the Elephant Man is a pretty key ally of Jabba, even though he's plotting to kill him, like many other people. Remember when that was a thing? There was some type of game text that triggered off of, oh, you're aliens with plotting to kill Jabba in their lore. Get a bonus. It was like, oh, who does that? No, he's actually one of Jabba's loyal pals. Ooh. Yeah, there's like 7 or 8 guys who are plotting to kill Jabba. And there's Velkin Tazeri aboard the space cruiser as a passenger. Just adds 2 more to power if he were to be piloting. But he is also another alien, so now there are 2 aliens with Lady Proxima. So this does add a battle destiny. So this is looking at 2 battle destiny here, and Chris will draw that final card. He now satisfies battle plan. Would not have to pay to drain now. And he'll activate one with wipe, so now he's got a force available for grabbers or defensive interrupts. With only 12 force here, be interesting to see if Emil wants to flip now or if he wants to wait one more turn. It's probably safer to wait one more turn. But he's got 11 cards in his hand, so who knows, just how good his hand is. All right. There's the village. All right, he's going for the flip. There's the Corvette. And then I'll put somebody here at this site. That'll flip the objective. And then this will take off. Cal foul. That's not a card you see every day. A little KFC action going on here. And he is going to put a ray used to go pick up someone. So Cal foul can't go on board starfighters or enclosed vehicles, but can go on capitals. When in battle, both players draw only one destiny, and yours is higher. Reduce opponent's destiny to 0. This is an automatic action that happens before any modifiers can be applied. Does add 2 to power and 1 ability. He is going to get Holdo. Holdo is certainly another character who can wreak havoc depending on what ship she ends up on. If piloting a capital, place it and Holdo out of play to add X to your total battle destiny, where X is that ship's armor plus hyperspeed. Well, a Corvette is +7. I believe there are some better options depending on what other ships he's got going here. But she's also an admiral, so she triggers leadership. And she is going to get deployed aboard the Corvette. And he's got gold leader. All right, so much for plan A. He might just skip trying to flip and just go straight to space and just force Chris to run away, and then he'll just move people around on later turns. As for battling here, Chris only has 1 destiny available to. He only has 1 force available to spend, so he could only draw 1 destiny. And if Cal foul draws higher, if Lightside draws higher, Cal foul is going to trigger and reduce that destiny to 0. He's got a nice power bonus as well. He's ahead by 6. So I guess it's going to come down to how confident he feels in his battle destiny. If he's wrong, well, Cal foul is probably going to be the one who pays the price for it. Pretty early on, Chris is completely blind drawn out of 35 cards. You'd presumably think he's going to draw a 2 or a 3. And now Emil's thinking of whether or not how confident he feels based on what's in his reserve deck. If battling is worth it here. This one's hard to speculate on, depending on what's in your reserve deck. This is one of those things where sometimes you'll just be like, no guts, no glory, and you'll go for it. And other times you're just like, you know what, it's not worth the risk. Alright, he is going to lose a force to the objective. Top decks a card off the used pile, and it's the Hujix. And he is going to go for the battle. This would be a great time for Chris to have a dark time to activate one. or projective telepathy or something to make Emil have to pay to cancel the battle. I don't think we're going to see any of those cards. We're just going to get a destiny draw. All right, Emil draws a rose. So Chris has got pretty limited options for what he can draw. It's probably just Twi'lek or something that would be a 5. And he draws a Probot, which is automatically reset to 0. So Chris has 11 battle damage and 5 attrition here to deal with. Probably going to end up losing Zam for 6. And will he lose Velkin for 4 and top deck a card? Surely Radis to ground to flip first. You would think, but I don't know that he doesn't have the force to do it. You know, Radis gets out, the Falcon moves over to this site. He could flip and then shuttle Radis up, but he would need 2 force to do that, and he only has 1 left. So I'm going to guess he's not flipping this turn. But yes, you're right. That's probably how he'll do it next turn. Yeah, see, he's just going to flip and take off. He wants to own the Jakku system. He's going to have to do it this way because he doesn't have, force available. Chris only has 5 cards in hand too, so yeah, he does lose Velkin, and he top decks the Probot that he drew for Destiny. We may see Chris have to pull Nal Hutta here and run away just to keep his space cruiser alive, and then just take a turn and draw some cards. Because he does not want to get himself cleared out of space either. Proxima will reveal 3 cards. Chris gets Cad Bane into his hand. And now he is going to try and deploy Nal Hutta. Yeah, he's going to have to do that and run away. Foil Nal Hutta. Go with his foil Jabba, foil Space Cruiser, and foil F Antman. Emil's going to pull the Aim High shield. Make Chris have to pay for his retrieval. Very wise course of action. That's usually one of the first shields that hits the table against Court. Once you see Scum hit the table, you basically pull Aim High. Cad Bane's going to go ground. It's another aggressive play from Chris. He's keeping his hand size really small here. Cad Bane does draw if unable to otherwise, but there are certainly a number of light side characters that Chris could have that Emil could have that could get rid of Cad Bane. Darrow. He's putting down the Jawa. When deployed, may download a droid here or a restraining bolt. Don't know that he wants to get a droid. I mean, Guri's always a possibility, but he's only got 6 force left, and Guri would cost 6, and then the ship wouldn't be able to move. So I don't know that that would be ideal. Unless he thinks he can somehow stop him from flipping. But even then, he's still getting way outpowered 23-7, and he'd have no force available to pay for Gold Leader to draw Destiny. Yeah, so he's going to wisely move away and then draw a couple of cards. We have to assume if he's hanging Cad Bane out to dry like this, that he's got either a Gick or a barrier. Possibly both. And then Chris just draws a couple cards and he's going to pass the turn on to Emil. Emil looks for a location that is not there, and Chris will get to verify. And there comes General Leia. We'll see if Chris wants to pull his retrieval shield. Stop Emil from retrieving any cards here. Yep, there's the secret plans. At least make him pay for it. And there's Rose to the adjacent site. So now he's flipped. Because to do that, you just have to control the system and occupy 2 sites, or vice versa. So he controls the system, occupies 2 sites. Oh, we've got a Padme. If he's got one more character, nope, he's just going to go with just those 2. It's always a possibility that Chris draws 2 or less, which can then get subtracted. But I would expect Padme will die here, and then Rose will move over. So Emil top decks from used pile of leadership, then he initiates battle and pays 1 to retrieve that leadership. Now he'll add a destiny to attrition. That's meaningless because Cad Bane's not immune to any attrition. Emil draws 3PO. That's going to put him up to 10. Oh, he's going to Jedi Levin instead. It's like Cad Bane will cover. He covers 7 forfeit, so and he draws a 4 the second time around, so he will have 11. Ouch. Subtract 2 from that. So Cad will cover the battle damage, but by drawing so low, Padme's immune to less than 3, Leia's immune to less than 4, so chances are he wasn't going to quite get them anyway with the -2, but so Cad's going to end up going away here. And he draws the flight suit as a destiny to attrition. And now I'm sure we will see Rose move over. And the ladies will all be hanging out together. And Emil will draw a card or 2 to rebuild his hand. And then we're going to get into the grindy part of the game. So looking at the board now, we've got drain 2, drain 1, retrieve 1. So that's 3 retrieval. I'm sorry, 3 drain, 3 damage, and 1 retrieval a turn for Emil against just 2 damage going on over at these sites. And he'll ship dock the Corvette. He'll move Radis over. Now he's going to land the Falcon and flip that back to vehicle mode. So he's got Radis, Holdo, and Calfal and Gold Leader parked at the system. And now the Falcon's on the ground with Leia, Rose, and Padme. So strong power, strong presence in both locations. He did hurt his force drain damage because the Falcon has to be at the system to get the +1. So now they're both just doing 2 damage to each other. Light side gets the 1 retrieval from Rose, and if they initiate battle, Leia gives them a retrieval. Dark side gets retrieval if they initiate with Scum. Then we could also end up seeing either of these players pull the weapons display or firepower shields, where they can increase damage output that way. Or, I'm sorry, get more retrieval. So Crystal Drain for 1 and 1. Emil top decks We're Doomed. That's a card I'm sure Chris is glad to see go. And Saw Gerrera as well. It's a card we don't usually see outside of too many out of no idea decks and things, possibly in Diplo. But he does get to cancel a non-immune sense interrupt. Does stop your opponent from reducing your force drains here as well. So things like Image of the Dark Lord or Ralops. He's a soft counter to that. Chris reveals 3 cards of Proxima but doesn't find anything. So he's got 8 cards in hand, 14 force to work with. And now he just has to think about what he wants to do. Does he have at least 1, if not 2, other ships that he can put down and move the space cruiser back? But then he's going to need multiple force to draw Destiny against Gold Leader. Does he have guys to go ground? Does he just want to try and take this site? Yep, there he goes. He's going to send Afra for free. He does have a droid in there. Probot's in there. So he moves Probot to the top, who then gets retrieved into hand. Probot is also a spy. He could deploy Probot over here to the 2-0 if he wants to start trying to squeeze out, increase his damage output and try and speed things up, put pressure on his opponent who only has a 5-card hand, and that is what Chris is going to do. He'll need somebody to back up Afra, because she doesn't do much by herself. Alright, there's Thrawn. He could cause some additional force loss. Once per turn, target a related location. Opponent loses 1 force next time they move to that location this turn. He also keeps starships from being shot. That kind of looks like Tom Hade a little bit. Chris uses the text and picks Ray's encampment, which won't do anything this turn because unless by some miracle there's a way for Emil to react during to nothing. There's nothing to react to. Neighborn. Emil is going to pull weapons display as Chris moves to his move phase. It is, Tom. Yeah. All right. Chris will draw a handful of cards. Looks like he's picked up 5 so far. Make that 6. And Emil will get the option to retrieve Saw, which I assume he will accept and pay the force for. All right, so Emil's got 15 force active. He's going to draw the bottom card with Ray. It's going to give him a 6-card hand to work with here. He's got drains of 1 and 1, and he will get to retrieve a force with Rose. That's going to get him the We're Doomed back, which is pretty big. Now it's going to kind of force Chris to keep a grabber open for a while because We're Doomed is a killer, and especially in a match play situation. Unless he's got a Nah, it doesn't even have that. I don't think there's anything that cancels We're Doomed straight up. There should be. Chris is going to top deck to the drains. He loses the passenger deck, Sight, and Boba Fett Bounty Hunter. Oh, and then Emil's got to control Tunnel Vision. So now he's going to go cherry pick. He's got 14 cards in his force pile to choose from. And he's got probably a number of guys with which to work, whether he's looking for a Solo and a Chewie to combo up together. Go clear. Some ground guys out, whether he's looking for another ship. Probably unlikely. I would think more he's going to go after the stuff on the ground. Whether he's going after Probot or he's going after the Thrawn Afra. Oh, he's going to retrieve the control tunnel vision instead. Because he did the action first, putting that in his lost pile before retrieving. So We're Doomed? Not yet. .3PO as a passenger. And 3PO will cycle a card back and draw a fresh one. All right, so there's Solo. Thrawn's going to target a location. And he picks the outpost shipyard. So if he battles here and then moves away to rejoin his friends over here, Thrawn would cause 1 force loss. I think it's more likely he'd move guys this way, but I guess if he's planning on deploying, battling, and then moving away, he could also just shuttle up now to get around that if he wanted to. All right. Emil has to lose a force from Chris's objective. He top decks a Jedi Lev from his reserve deck, and he goes to his move phase. We'll see who ends up going where. All right, so Leia gets in. We'll see if he kicks 3PO out and takes somebody else. Nope. And Rose moves over, and Padme moves over. So he's going to keep everybody together. And we'll see if anybody. Lando's going to get out. While Finn or Rey aboard, it's immune to less than 4. And Leia will get out as well. So he's just going to leave Rey outside. See if maybe he moves Solo in to keep the 2 Battle Destiny together aboard the Falcon. Just in case there's a possibility of anybody else. Oh, Lando's getting back in. Okay, see if there's any possibility of anyone like a IG-88 or a Hidden Weapons or something. If he wants to keep the 2nd Destiny, he could move Solo inside. Of course, he can subtract 2 from that draw to make it much harder to hit him. And now there's being silly in the chat. Emil saying he accidentally disembarked the wrong general. Chris giving him the option to revert that. And Emil's like, no, I'll just embark him again. Because embarking and disembarking are unlimited moves. And there's the firepower shield from Chris. So he will get to retrieve a force. And he'll get his passenger deck back. Probably not the card he was hoping to retrieve, but a force is a force, of course, of course. Alright, so Chris is going to activate 12 still. He's got drains of 1 and 1, and another drain of 2 that seems like it's going to get canceled. It can't be reduced by the objective for two reasons. One, you can't reduce drains at Jakku locations anymore, and two, you have to control 2 Jakku locations in order to do the reduction. You control 2 Jakku battlegrounds. But except to a force drain at a Jakku location, so you can't do it any longer. That's part of the errata. Kind of fair up some matchups and actually force old allies to defend its own sites. So there's the drain at 2. He got drained for 1 at the audience chamber. He top decked a control, and now that he gets drained for 2, he's going to use solos once per game to use the control to cancel the drain of 2. Okay, so that's interesting. Obviously, I thought he'd have a way to cancel it somehow. Just didn't realize that it was going to be by blind top decking the card to do it. And then he gets strained 1 more and loses Rogue 1. So that's his 4th ship. Most Old Allies decks typically only play 3 or 4 ships. So that may account for all of his ships. He may still have a Profundity or a Tantive. Chris is going to use Proxima, reveal the top 3 cards, see if there's an alien. There is an alien there, at least one. He gets Django Fett. That's a pretty good guy to get because you can target him with hidden weapons. Also happens to add 1 to maneuver, 2 to power. He's at forfeit 8 with the objective, and adds a Battle Destiny when with a Jedi, Maintenance, or Permanent Weapon card. Reese. Good old 3 Eyes coming down. He's a smuggler. He's a bounty hunter. Non-maintenance bounty hunters are immune to clash and barrier. Whenever you draw a destiny of 3, you choose activate a force, draw the bottom card of your used pile, or place a card from hand on top of used pile. It gives you 3 options. And the prince is going to go over here. So it looks like Chris is going to try and spread to try and maximize his damage. Increase his output a little bit. And we'll see if these 2 guys move away. The prince is a little bit harder to interact with in this matchup because he requires 6 ability or more for opponent to draw a destiny. They don't have a lot of high ability characters. You got a lot of 4s, maybe a 5 and Anakin. You know, Leia's a 5, but Rey and Padme and things like that, a lot of those guys are 3s and 4s. You know, Corran Horn, if you play him, that kind of stuff. So you need 2 guys typically to get around the prince, or someone who draws if unable to otherwise, like Solo. But again, all these guys are over here. Unless he's got a neighboring, which would be pretty hot. If he just neighbored these guys all over and beat the crap out of the prince, that'd be interesting. But probably not going to see that. And of course, the kick combo does cancel neighboring. That part of the card, though, is not immune to sense. We've got a Stinger backing up Jabba Space Cruiser. See if there's a Gurry to go with it. Gurry deploys free aboard that and adds an extra battle destiny. Yep, he is just going to move away here. And Chris is just going to draw a couple cards and save a few force. And Emil's going to retrieve one because he deployed and did not battle. We'll throw out a quick congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs fans as they advance to their first Super Bowl in 50 years. While we wait and see what Emil does next. So he's activated. He's drawn a card with Ray. He'll drain for 1 and 1. He'll use Rose and retrieve another card. And he'll get his Jedi Levitation back. Drain for 1. Chris loses Scum. Activates a card with Wipe. He'll get drained for 1 more. And he top decks Gurry. Well, if Emil deploys and doesn't battle this turn, Chris would get to retrieve Gurry with firepower, and then he would know exactly where she is to loop her around. He's already used Afra, so he can't retrieve her into hand. He could no escape her back as well. But as I mentioned, this is kind of where the pace of this game starts to slow down a little bit. Emil complaining he has not been able to find the 2-2 site all game. That he's continued to just keep activating it because it's somewhere in the middle of his force pile, I guess, and it just keeps being a card that just keeps ending up in his force pile. Maybe he'll have to play a control tunnel vision to go get that. So if you're looking at strictly a damage output point system, it's still just 2 damage a turn that Emil is doing, but he's offsetting at least 1, if not 2, with the weapons display shield. So he's not really taking any damage. Chris has managed to increase his damage output to 5, 6 if that site remains uncontested. All right, we get a Tantive now. We'll get some interaction here. Tantive going in Al Hudda. It is going to draw out the barrier. Chris not wanting to worry about having to deal with Poe coming down as a pilot on the Tantive and getting 2 Destinies and clearing some stuff off his ships. Be interesting to see now if Emil just moves over. Or what else he's got cooking. Oh, now they're making bad puns using Poe Dameron's last name. I'm not falling for your Dameron tricks. Well, damn. And at least they're having fun, right? That's all that it's about. Okay, so the ship gets buried. Nobody else coming down aboard it. He'll lose 1 from hand. He tosses the effective repair Starship Levitation combo. I would expect to see him move both starships over. Thrawn is going to target. He should target now. Oh, it's related location. He has to target. Yeah, related location. So he can target the site he's at here, the Nema outpost. So that way, if his opponent moves guys over in front of him, he'll have to lose a force. Instead, he picks Ray's encampment. You can target a related location. So can't target a location related to itself. I'm sorry, yeah. You can't target the location he's at because the location is not related to itself, I think is how that's worked. That's why a lot of things say same and related locations. So you have to forgive me for that little hiccup there. All right, so the Corvette does move over. And I got to step away from my computer for just 1 second. Be back in just a minute. Just finishing up cooking dinner. It's going to need a couple more minutes in the oven still. All right, so let's catch up on what I missed. Not a whole lot. He moved the Corvette over. He left Gold Leader there. Solo got aboard the Falcon with Ray. The Falcon took off to the system. Lando got out. So he doesn't move over to this site. He's going to concede the drain there. He's going to block the system. He's going to kind of try and trap him between the 2 systems. Now it's going to come down to what Chris has got. I expect we're going to see a Boba Fett bounty hunter here. But he does have admirals Actually, both admirals are here. Doesn't have any admirals over here, but I doubt he's going to be able to battle into this. So Chris will get to do 2, 3. This is not a drain -1, is it? Nope. So that's a 4, 2, 4, 5, 6. Which is certainly good damage for him. And the longer he can not pay to do it, the better. He's going to do the drains of 1 first. Emil loses a solo from the used pile. And now he'll drain with the prince. He's doing the smaller drains first. There goes a Tarn Miesen from hand. Ooh. Lieutenant Tarn Miesen with Thrawn on the ground. That could be huge. He could be shooting everything down. Maybe he can't find the missiles. It could be worse, the drain of 2. Omnibox, it's worse for the game? No. Chris is going to grab that. I don't know that Emil ever retrieved the word doomed, but if he did with 3PO, that could be pretty brutal in the long run, in the grand scheme of things. There's Anakin off the top. There's Saw off the top for the other drain of 2. Proxima's going to peek. If he's got an alien remaining in the 4 cards in his reserve deck, she will get to take one. There are no aliens, so presumably that's going to mean he's got some decent destiny draws at least. And because of the way all his ships and stuff are stacked up here and piloted, I don't think we're going to see Holdo use her text if this were to be a battle here. Chris is going to use Twi'lek and go get the passenger deck, which he retrieved the previous turn. Take the 0 out of the equation. So now he's going to know. Obviously he knows what these 3 cards are. If he can find a way to add an extra destiny here, Proxima adds 1. If he gets another alien there, Proxima will put him up to 3. Although it's very likely to get leadershiped here. And we've got Zuckuss. Well, he certainly has enough ability piloting. At least for now. There's Woof. That's going to be a 3rd alien, so now he's got the 2nd battle destiny with Proxima. Woof will also subtract 1 from his opponent's destiny draws. That could help offset Calfal a little bit. But does he have anybody else to put down? Or does he want to use his once per game and retrieve a guy? Nope, he's got Dengar in Punishing 1. Usually we see Dengar's other versions, but when in battle, adds 1 to total battle destiny for each opponent's starship present, and he cancels opponent's immunity to attrition here. So he has no immunity anyway, but now he's going to add 2 to the total. So even if Calfal reduces the destiny to 0, he's still going to get a total of 2 from Dengar. He'll battle for free. He'll retrieve 2 with Scum. He'll get back Guri and another copy of Scum. Let's see if Lightside has a react. Probably not. would expect to see a leadership played here. Yep, there's the leadership. That will limit dark side to just one draw. So they're both drawing one. Light side's draw will be automatically -1, and that should trigger before Cal-Fal compares them. And then dark side will get to add 2 to their total. Emil's going to pull the don't do that again shield. Presumably he's just going to try and shuffle his deck with it. He top decked 2 characters previously, so maybe he's not feeling too confident about what. Maybe he knows what is coming up and isn't too fond of what's going on. So he's going to shuffle his reserve deck there. Give it the good old jump shuffle, and then draw the card that was on top before you shuffled. Ready, go. So Chris draws a 5. That is unlikely to get reduced to 0. He does subtract 2 from the draw using the objective, which makes it a 3, which then triggers Ree's response. He can now draw the bottom card of his use pile, which is what he will choose to do. And Emil's gonna. He just shuffled, so he's blind drawing here, and whatever he gets is going to be -1. He also draws a 3, which immediately becomes a 2. So the destiny draws will not get modified. Chris now has a 5 for his total. He's going to forfeit the stinger to cover his 2 remaining attrition. Emil's got 5 attrition and 8 battle damage. Does he want to just lose the other Corvette? He's going to forfeit Radis for 4 and Cal-Fal for 5. All right. Chris will finish up his turn here, and he will go through his motions. And I'm going to step away again just for a second, just to go get dinner out of the oven so it doesn't burn. And I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Probably won't have missed much. All right, so let's catch up real quick. What did we miss after the battle? He put Walkling out of play. He retrieved Calfal. He activated some force. He used Ray to draw the bottom card. Then he used 3PO. Probably just took Calfal right back into hand. And we've got a drain of 1. Lost a Forlom from hand. Drain of 2. He lost a barrier and a something special from reserve deck. Thrawn has chosen the Jakku system, so in case anybody moves up or shuttles up or something. Emil's going to use Rose, and he's going to retrieve Radis. Now he's going to try and deploy a location. Still not there. But he does get to verify what his destiny looks like. We know Lor Santika should be in there. That's what he drew last turn, if that's a character he wants, if he has anybody he wants to put back. We've got 24 people watching the game live on Jemp and only 11 in the Twitch chat. I know it's not the most exciting game to commentate on, but at the pace they're playing too. Whew. They're certainly being methodical with their decision making. Both players now right about just, here we are on turn 6. They've used up about half their timers. And Emil's got another control tunnel vision, so he's going to go dig through his force pile again. Cornhorn going after Probot. We haven't seen Greedo yet. That's another card that... And there's Wedge showing up to cancel the Battle Destiny. That is a strong combination. And he's got Calfal. So even if the Destiny were to get... Even if he were to play like a Dark Time to prevent him from being able to cancel the Destiny, he still could... Well, even now, because a Dark Time says modified or canceled. It's a reset. A reset's not a modification. All right. Well, hopefully we won't have to worry about those semantics. We've got Greedo coming down as a react here. He's got 3 power, and he's going to cover 6 forfeit. So you'd like to think that would be good enough for Chris here to soak up the battle damage, and then it's going to come down to what the cards in his hand are, if he can come back and counterattack that. There's a Rose. That's going to put him to 14. Chris might take a little bit of overflow here. Please be holding. That's my wife calling. Okay, so we had a battle. Wedge canceled the Destiny. What did he even draw? He drew Scum as a 4, which Calfell would have reset to 0 anyway, but Wedge is going to cancel it. Greedo covers 6. He has to peel 2 cards for battle damage. He loses the Scum and a Lana Dobreed combo, which is the force he spent to deploy Greedo. And Gold Leader and the Falcon all move over away from Jakku. And they're going to take over, or they're going to challenge the Nalhetta system. All right, this is make or break a turn for Chris here. He's at 14 cards left, and he needs to win by 13 in order to win the matchup here. Obviously, it's Scum, so he has ways to retrieve stuff, and he has not used his once per game Java's Haven. We haven't seen either of the Fets yet. This would be a good time for them to make their presence felt against a Corn Horn Wedge combo there. I don't think he's playing him, but a Bosk with Mortar Gun would be pretty broken right about now. Well, not broken, but there are no resistance characters here, so he cannot subtract from the draw with the objective. So an IG-88 capturing somebody could be important, could be game changing. But first things first, Chris is going to have to go through the motions. He's got a couple of drains here. 1, 1, and 2. And Emil's going to 3PO a card back first. He loses the card that he cycled with 3PO, which is a Jedi Lev from his used pile. I think that's... There goes a leadership off the top. There goes a rescue and a Poe Dameron. Chris will look for a bounty with the Nalhutta text. Not there. Gets to verify the 3 cards that are in his reserve deck before he uses Proxima. So if there's an alien in there that he doesn't want, he can leave it. If there's an alien in there that he does want, he can use Proxima and go get it. But if he has, say, Boba Fett Bounty Hunter, and he's planning on drawing 3 Battle Destiny, or even if he just drops Django and somebody else who wants to play hidden weapons. Oh, we got Ponda Baba. We got Snuva. Snuva's not a guy we see all that often either. So, Ponda Baba. During battle, put the smuggler, add a destiny to attrition. It's +2 if he's with your smuggler, or you can make a smuggler forfeit 0. Snuva here, not a smuggler, just a bounty hunter. He deploys cheaper where there's smugglers. He can do things and capture people with vibro axes. But as far as and then he drops Bosk as well. So Ponda is a smuggler. So that's why he deploys cheaper. Does get some good power. And Chris will battle and will get to retrieve 2 force here. He will spend the 2 force. He'll get back the Lanado Breed and the Scum that he lost last turn. Put 2 4s right back together. But I don't see anybody for Ponda to trigger with to add an extra destiny to attrition. His opponent, on the other hand, can add a destiny with Padme. And he will. Probably going to end up losing Bosk in this situation. He forfeits for 7. He's also power 7. So Chris draws a 2. It's an Ellison Hinthra. That's not good because that's going to get subtracted to 0. So he's not going to get rid of anything of Emil's. Now he's just going to hope his opponent draws less than 7 total. He draws a Chewie for Battle Destiny. He's got a Battle Destiny of 1. And a Destiny of Attrition of 3, putting him up to 4. This may be a case to lose Snuva then. Bosk is actually more power than Snuva because he's power plus 3 with a smuggler, which happens to be Ponda. So, yep, Snuva is the one who goes. And then we'll see if some people shuffle around. Rees is the smuggler. So I would expect we'll probably see Chris move Probot over here to be with these 2 people, and then move Rees over to these guys. Chris did win the battle, so Emil has 2 battle damage. He's going to forfeit Lando, even though he has no attrition, instead of losing 2 cards. Chris has got to spend some force moving all his ships first. He moves the Space Cruiser. He moves the Punishing One. He moves Zuckuss. He's got to move Probot away, and then with his last force, he could move Rees. This is an interior site, so you can't shuttle. Yep, he moves Rees over. So now he's with the smuggler to get the extra destiny to attrition with Ponda. That'll be plus 2. That could possibly clear some of this stuff out. And Probot slides over as well. Emil's going to play Perimeter Scan from hand to pull a shield. He's going to pull the Ultimatum shield, even though he's not being drained for 3 anywhere. But I guess in case Ellison Hinthra ever does come out and control Jakku. I don't know. There's not really a lot of shields that he needs at this point. He really just wants to put the card back, which he clearly was holding for Boba Fett. He's been holding that one a while for Boba Fett. So Chris has only taken 1 damage this turn. That'll be this drain here at Jakku. Thrawn's going to use his text to pick the system. So if Emil moves over, he'll have to lose a force. both getting fairly low on cards here. Chris has got 16 and 4 in hand. Emil's got 14 and 4 in hand. And remember, the magic number from game number 1 was 12. Rose is retrieving a force. Scum is retrieving 2 force. If Leia battles, she'll retrieve a force. So we're certainly got a ways to go left in this game. And as we get closer and closer to that threshold, it's really going to get down. I have no doubt that Chris could win this game, flat out win the game. But winning it by 13 at this point, that's the thing that is going to be tricky. If this were a regular tournament game and it was like who wins, I think from this point in the board, this positioning, I think Chris grinds out a small win. But he's going to have to do something, have something else a little extra to give him just a push if he's going to win by 13. I don't have their loss pile counts offhand to know what the difference was in game number 1, to know what happens if they tie at 12. That was WAP and TTO, so they both had a fair amount of cards on table in that game. Alright, so Emil just retrieves and drains. He gets Lando back. He loses Lando to the 1 force from Chris's objective. And Emil makes, and then he's going to battle. And he's going to retrieve that Lando again. So he retrieved Lando with Rose, lost Lando, and then retrieves Lando again. Lando just keeps coming back. He's going to leadership to add a destiny on the ground. He's going to try and get rid of 2 guys here. He's going to add a destiny to attrition as well with Padme. Darkseid's going to add a destiny to attrition with Ponda. Uh-oh. Oh, is that my internet connection that just went down? Or did Jemp just crash? Because if Jemp just crashed, that would be god-awful. Well, let's find out if it was my internet connection or not. Nope, not my internet connection. Yep. So it looks like the Jemp server may have crashed. Maybe not. We'll see if the game ended. If we can get back in. Okay. Luckily, it doesn't look like the game ended here. But there's definitely something going on with the Jemp server. That would be unfortunate for these guys to be 45 plus minutes into the game. All right, so it looks like the battle's back. Whew. That was close. They made some joke about, it was Emil's joke. Apparently it got censored, for those of you who didn't see the chat. So when Emil retrieved Lando, he said, Lando, as useful as in episode 8. Thinking he meant episode 9 because Lando wasn't in episode 8, but hey, you never know. To which Chris responded with, send Leia my love. And Emil responded that, well, I'm not going to read his response. You can see it in the chat window right now, but it certainly would not be a PG friendly thing to say. So they're both going to add a destiny to attrition, and the battle will get to continue, luckily. So Emil's got the perimeter scan that he cycled back for battle destiny number 1. Battle destiny number 2 is the rogue one, so he's got a 7. That's going to get rid of Bosk. And then what is he adding to his attrition total? We'll find out in a minute. There's Gurry. That's going to get subtracted to 0. And now they'll both add their attrition draws. It's to Chewy again. It's still good enough because that's 8. That's going to force Chris to have to lose 2 people. Chris is going to draw a 2 here, which will give him 4 attrition, so somebody other than Rose is going to have to die. I think you lose Bosk and Ponda here. He still has his once per game Java's Haven. He could retrieve Ponda back into hand. Because I don't think he's used that yet. Unless I missed it, but he could use that and retrieve Ponda right back into hand, redeploy him, and do the same thing again next turn, possibly with an additional character. Oh, he's going to lose Rees and Ponda. And we'll see who Emil moves where. He's got 16 cards down, 3 in hand, and if he moves to Jakku, he's going to have to lose a force. Michelin, how much is in Emil and Chris's deck? Oh, I just said that. So Emil's got 16 down, 3 in hand. Chris has got 15 down and 4 in hand, so they're basically tied. Emil's complaining that the Corellian Corvettes can't hold any starfighters or anything. So he can't put the Falcon in and then or either Gold Leader and move over. He's going to have to pay 4 to move each ship one at a time. Assuming he even wants to do that. He doesn't necessarily need all. Well, yeah, he kind of does. He's going to have to lose a force from Thrawn. He loses the Rebel flight suit. Corrin moves over. Wedge moves over. Calfal's got land speed 3, so he could go to either site. Nope, he'll keep things just as they are. Does he want to move anybody else? Or is that it? You would think he'd want to bring at least one more ship over. I'm sure he's got Finn to react, and he's going to draw a card with Ray first, okay? Chris is going to play Uta Guta to take a Rhodian or non-unique alien into hand. That would get him a Greedo, and it does. And now he puts the Uta Guta 4 cards from the bottom, plus the force he spent. Will be above the 2s that he drew for Battle Destiny. It was Guri and the Gik combo, so now he's got something and then a 5. So if he's going to draw multiple Destiny, those ones seem a little better to work with. Yep, looks like Emil's going to bring the rest of the band over. No, he leaves Holdo behind. So Chris can activate 11, and then he's got that 5 sitting right there. And he does. He's got drains of 1 and 1. And then we'll see what characters he's got. Scorch, thank you for following us now. Hope you've been enjoying the games and the live streaming. And we'll have more coverage coming up a week from now from the Endor Grand Prix in Seattle. We'll have live coverage all day Saturday and Sunday. It's on the West Coast, so they're starting at 10 a.m. And since live tournaments never exactly start on time, I'd expect our stream to start closer to 10:30 Pacific time, which would be about 1:30 Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, and probably again on Sunday. All right. Emil gets drained for 2. He loses a barrier and the concussion missiles off the top. Now he's joking that he can't even top deck the site. He's going to end up drawing it for Destiny and then never put it in his deck again. Also, I'll remind everybody, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription through Twitch. You just have to connect your Twitch account to your Amazon account, and then once a month you get a free subscription to use to any channel. Help them out a little bit with the support. And you can click that little button up there, the big purple one, and subscribe to our channel, and then come back once a month and just renew your subscription. And when you hit 3, 6, and 12 months, be sure to send me the screenshots on the forums or to email. You can email it to store@starwarsccg.org, and we'll mail you out some interesting foil slips, some cool foil slips. We've got Ezra Bridger, we've got the Grand Inquisitor, and the 12-month foil is the I Want That Map objective. Okay, Boba Fett Bounty Hunter making his grand entrance. Coming down with Bosk. It's a shame that 5 is on top. If he had a hidden weapons, he certainly could do a little bit more damage. All a 5 would do would be to hit General Leia. Now, if he's got Dr. E, then hitting General Leia would be fine. Because this could subtract 2 from it. If you subtracted 2 from it, she would just be captured instead of hit and lost. But Chris is going to go for the big power difference instead. So we know he's got the 5 plus something and then a 2. Assume he gets a destiny subtracted by 2, so he's got 5 and something and a 6 power advantage over his opponent. That one gets subtracted. Oh, double 5s. 8, 9, 10. That's going to clear both people. That was certainly the move that Chris needed. Get rid of Leia and Rose. Slow down the retrieval a little bit. And his opponent draws a 1. He's going to take overflow here. Because Leia and Rose only cover 10. Emil's going to have 5 overflow. Because the Hoojix is in his lost pile. I don't think he ever retrieved it. If you're Chris, I think you lose Bosk here and then move Boba Fett over. Or shuttle him up. He's thinking about shuttling Bosk up, though. Because when he's with the smuggler, they can't draw more than 1 destiny, so he'd only get 1 destiny at the system. Solo and Rey wouldn't add together. That's what he's going to do. He's going to lose Boba Fett, so he doesn't have to pay the maintenance cost on him. Leia's going to die. Rose is going to die. He's going to take 5 overflow, or does he have a second Hoojix, or did he somehow retrieve it? Or is he going to peel 5 cards? He's going to peel 5 cards. Was that enough? Was that enough of the break that Chris needed to tilt the game in his favor, just enough to pull out the win by 13? He top decks Dash and Rogue 12, Rey. There goes the Starship Graveyard site, and Chewie, and Rogue 1. So Emil is down to 8 force remaining in reserve deck, plus 3 in hand. Chris has 16 in reserve deck and 3 in hand. Probot moves back to the Jakku encampment. And then I guess Thrawn and Afra shuttle, move over, some combination. Alright, so Bosk's going to shuttle up to the space cruiser. And we'll see if the other 2 guys move away. I can't imagine he's going to leave him there. That would just be foolish. I guess he's debating whether he wants to shuttle them up too. I would just move him over. Yeah, and he does. He's got to keep that ground presence going, keep that ground damage, keep these guys being forced to choose now how to interact with him. While he just consistently gets this damage over here uncontested. Not sure what he's thinking about here. Whether he can shuttle Thrawn up to the system too. No. You move Thrawn over to where Afra is. Sometime today. Maybe his internet connection went out. That's Chris's timer that's running, so it's on his action. Is he really thinking that hard about what to do with Thrawn? Or did he just fall asleep? He moves Thrawn over with Probot. Probot who draws by himself. Afra who doesn't. So clearly Chris has a Gick in his hand. Well, he does have Greedo. That's true. He does have Greedo. We did see him take Greedo last turn, so he could deploy Greedo as the react if Afra got battled. Still think you do it the other way. Keep them together. Thrawn will pick the village, so if he chases Afra, he's going to have to lose a force there. Emil's going to drain for 1 and 1. Chris top decks projective telepathy. And scum and villainy. So Chris is sitting at 15 in reserve deck, still with 3 in hand. So he can afford to lose 2 more cards and still win the match from reserve deck. Now Emil's got to be, we got to be thinking, what does Emil have left? Rey and Solo are on the table. Chewie and Poe are in the lost pile. There's a Leia in the lost pile. There's a couple of Roses in there as well. Even if he had another Rose, she's not very good by herself to do much. Holdo is on the table, so there's a Resistance female, I guess, that he could retrieve with, but he just needs to do about 5 more points of damage and not let Chris retrieve any with scum. Okay, Lor San Tekka going down to the village. That's his site. He's power +4 and defense value -2 there. So this old fart with Rose, okay, he's power 5 now. During your control phase, one of your other resistance characters present may make a regular move. He's going to have to lose 1 to the objective. I'm assuming it'll be a card from the used pile. It is. It's that Lando again. And here comes the reacting Greedo. Yep. Does he have a barrier? Does he have something to cancel the react? Does not seem like it. Emil draws a 5. Greedo will cover 6. Chris draws a 3. That'll get subtracted by 2. So it'll still be a destiny of 1. So one of these 2 characters will have to die. Rose makes the most sense from a deploy forfeit standpoint. But if he's trying to retrieve cards, it just has another resistance character on table. May retrieve a force. Or Page out of play. We haven't gotten Page yet, have we? He is going to lose Rose. And we're going to see Greedo get lost. He moves the Corvette over to the system. And he shuttles... Nope. He moves Calfal over to back up Lor San Tekka, which is going to cause 1 more force loss. And he pops a card from the used pile. Ladies and gentlemen, I think ChrisKelly is going to pull this one out. He is going to use his once per game here at the end of Emil's turn to retrieve a character into hand. Non-maintenance, alien, or independent starship. It's got a number of good aliens to choose from. You could just take Greedo right back. Nope, Emil's just going to concede the match. ChrisKelly is the winner. Emil's got 7 cards left. He's going to take 4 damage from drains, taking him down to 3. Chris is just going to battle here at the site with whatever character he retrieves, retrieve 2 more cards, and put his differential up. So, congratulations to Emil Wallen as the Emil on a well-played series. Congratulations to Team USA on winning the Outrider Cup as they go up 7-4. Greg Shaw and Silver Glen, Justin can still play their match tomorrow. We'd like to finish up the series. But congratulations to ChrisKelly on picking up the big win over the world champ to bring home the bacon for Team USA. Thank you guys all very much for tuning in and watching our coverage as well of the Outrider Cup. Hope you liked this fun alternative format event, and hopefully we'll continue to do it again in future years. I'm going to tune off for tonight and go get some dinner. And thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great evening.